So let's take a close look at the mini PC, all of the connection, because the main PC doesn't really have a lot of connection. You're going to be needing this particular piece. Yeah, you're going to be needing it all the time because it utilizes all of the USB ports, a couple at the front, at the back, not a lot actually. We're only having a DisplayPort and HDMI, and we're having two RJ45 Ethernet connections. So let's hook it up, let's see what's going on. We do have this amazing overall LED at the top. It's kind of cool. I love these tiny little cute features. But beside that, let's see, can we boot it up and what is going to be happening. And of course, we're going to be doing a little bit of a nerdy time because I'm really curious how it is when it comes to the just the specifications. What can we expect from the CPU, but GPU combination, the wattage and everything else. So this thing is powered on very quickly. So let's do a little bit of a test manager and see what this actually says over here. So there's nothing much going on. Just want to do a quick scroll because I was really curious. There it says like 600 U. Yep, there we go. The amount of memory that's installed. And that's it, because so far I understand this memory. Let's see if we can even do a teardown later on, if you can even swap it out or whatsoever. For the teardown, I'm not going to be doing both of the parts, because the other part is just purely like a very lightweighted, I would say docking, but it's more like an extension part of that, so there's nothing much in there. So let's open up a mini PC, and I can tell you that the overall construction is all made out of plastic. You can see we're having these rubber pads for giving like the overall best, let's say, fitting when you're going to be fitting this thing on top of the other part. So I'm gonna get myself like a freaking screwdriver. Man, I need the smallest one in my collection. Jeez, man, this one is tiny. Let's be very gentle. Then we're going to be using a pry tool to pry open the pieces of plastic. Let's be very gentle because sometimes they are loving to stick stuff against the... Okay, there's nothing much sticking to it beside the magnets. Oh, they just use tape to put these in place. Okay, that is like a very basic overall construction, no hot glue whatsoever. So what you can actually do is reach in and get yourself the swappable NVMe if you want to. So you can swap it out with a different brand. By the way, the brand they're using, I have never heard of it. So we do have like limitations. I'm guessing there is a little bit option for a bigger one, but you know, you don't have like the room for the larger NVMe when it comes to that. Only having like the option for an M2, if I'm saying it correctly. The Wi-Fi module is in here. And yeah, I must say that the overall construction, ooh, we're having this tiny ribbon flex cable. Yeah, I'm not going to be doing any further teardown. Try to pull it out. Let's see if I can get some movement going on. But no, I'm going to be leaving it as it is. So that brings me to the spreadsheet, and the reason why is because when you're going to be looking at what's the performance, the 660M versus the 780M. The 780M is let's say an onboard chip that is quite nice, and I had some really great overall performance, even with Red Roger and other like games that you can play on really some nice high, let's say 1080p and some good overall performance. But you know, when you're going to be looking at the 780M, it's getting really close to the RX 580 over here. It's still not there, but it's getting close, where the Radeon 660M is half the power of the 780M. In other words, if you're going to be checking this out, you can see like the GTX 1650 is getting close to the 780, but it's far from like the 660M. That only remains, then we're going to be doing a little bit of an emulation testing. So we have these PHX or other kind of plug and play solutions that we can just plug in and just start playing. Of course, we need to set up all of the certain drivers or DirectX and other kind of shenanigans that's going to be needing for playing all of the emulators. But we can just plug it in and we're going to be having a lot of fun. So let's see how does it work. Can we even play some, let's say, higher-end systems and do upscaling with this onboard GPU? That is, of course, the question, because I'm really curious now. But let's go with the flow with some emulation, and let's see what we can do actually here. Was kind of disappointed when it comes to the three-dimensional games in Windows gaming. So this thing is just capable of running some basic indie games. But let's get into the emulation part and let's see how far we can push it there. I think we can already expect to just run some basic games. You know, Secret 30 Weeks, Game Gear, Master System, Tom's Wave. It's going to be a little bit more challenging, but a lot of stuff can be played without any problem. Or N64, that would be interesting. So let's start off with some Game Boy or so, and let's have some fun. Okay, so when it comes for trying to 4K emulation, now we can actually see that this is just pushing the device to its limit. We have seen that 4K emulation is possible to actually work on these mini PCs, but we're going to be having just a problem with this onboard GPU. It doesn't give us enough juice. So what we can do is very simple. Go back to the menu. Let's hold the A button. Going to advanced game options. Next up, let's just move it to, let's say 920 by 4040. Let's say just 2K, and let's start it up like that. Let's see what happens then. And let's give this another attempt. And with the 2K resolution, we're going to be having overall better performance. And if this is still giving us the same freaking problem, the only thing we can just do is very simple, is just lower the, we can lower the different rendering resolution. But when it comes for playing some Autonomous Wave, we're going to be moving also to Sega Dreamcast. And when it comes to these kind of systems, we're going to be needing to tweak all the freaking time. We're just going to be playing this on native resolution. The Autonomous Wave emulator does even have the option to just tweak this freaking thing and just do a 1080p upscaling where this looks, where this is slightly better, it's going to be looking absolutely better. Come on, let's kill the tank. Let's kill the tank. Let's kill the tank. Yeah. Of course, we can just play some Mortal Kombat. The old school games of the Sega 32X was a very interesting one when it comes to, let's say, the overall ports. But when it comes to, let's say, emulation of some basic 32 or 60-bit stuff, it runs just fine.
Round 1, fight!
So when it comes to Sega Saturn, I just wanted to keep it slow. I mean, when it comes to upscaling and everything craziness, we already seen that the GPU is not that powerful, but let's try 720p. Let's see what happens with the freaking Sega Saturn emulation. You can actually see that the GPU is hitting sometimes 99% and the whoa, okay, we do have some artifacts going on, so that is unfortunate. And I think that has something to do with the combination of the GPU and the emulator. So that's a little bit of a bummer. It does hit 60 frames per second, but maybe if you're going to be messing with the rendering resolution, we can just actually get rid of the overall weird pixels going on. I just wanted to, of course, test out the overall performance and let's see what's going on. The same with PlayStation 2 emulation. Let's keep it slow. So we're just going to be see if we can even have the option to play this with 1080p upscaling, and let's see how the overall performance will be now.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Proto. You're welcome to Garibaldi. Rock and roll! Sweet big air bonus.
Hey! So moving on to some SSPP emulator, and let's check out what we actually can do over here. Yep, there we go, the settings. So let's see, 10 times not going to be working. Let's put it on 4 times resolution. Let's go to wipeout, yep. And we're going back because we do have a save state to keep the process way faster. So let's see what's going on. Can we actually play this game? So I was really curious how far we can push it. With this particular resolution, it still looks absolutely great. The GPU has been, ooh, you can see the hits like 96% sometimes. So I think we're not going to be trying to push it a little bit farther than that.
Mines.
I don't know what it is with that PlayStation 3 emulator, but that bloody thing is always getting stuck. The final one! Oh! Let's load it up again. Oh, see? Complaining about it helps. So let's try a simple game. Dragon's Crown. Oh man, I've played this game so much on my PlayStation. It's such a great game. Let's boot it up. It's not a really demanding game when it comes to the overall performance, but let's see how far we can push it, and is it even playable, this mini PC, because you will be surprised how bad some of these things will run.
What?
And if you wonder, can we actually play some GameCube? Yeah, this is going to be an interesting story because some of the games are playable, some are So upscaling, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for this particular emulator. So now running on native resolution, you see in the beginning it did struggle, hitting 50% from the GPU, 100%.
Boost power!
Looking at the price point, the form factor and everything, yeah, I must say that I'm a big fan of the AMD Ryzen set, but this GPU is not giving just enough power to get everything on, let's say, ultra performance of emulation, but also just want to play some Windows games. It's a lot of fun to exploring and just messing around with this. I think it's absolutely a very funny overall design, but is it something you should actually care about? So let me know in the comment. Thank you all for watching, and let's move on to the next wicked thing.